Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I do hope everyone is doing well today, and welcome to today's upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Chaffen. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click the bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? Months ago, I had an opportunity to speak with someone who knew Andrew Dawson, the TikToker who had filmed and experienced some very strange goings-on in the Canadian Rocky region. During that period of time, some videos came out of him filming what looked to be a giant, what looked to be some sort of spacecraft, some very strange, other strange goings-on. Government agents and stuff, and then he was found dead. Well, unfortunately, there are people out there that, I don't know why or whatever reason, claim that it was a hoax, it was a fraud, this and that. He really did pass away. His wife still is on TikTok. His wife and child's mom is still on TikTok saying, I miss you. It's been a couple years now. And if he didn't pass away, he would have resurfaced. It's just a strange kind of, it's strange what people will create and say for views. The story was not debunked, regardless of what people say, no matter how many subscribers and views they have, but people will, because these channels had millions of subscribers, and oh my god, they're so great, we gotta believe him, he's got 1 million subscribers, 2 million, 3 million. Just because they have 1 million, 2 million, 3 million subscribers doesn't mean they're telling the truth. It means they're a good storyteller. They created something that caught you and brought you in. I literally found the obituary, which you can find, and people can create an obituary. It's not that hard nowadays online to do something. But what you cannot create a funeral home that actually exists in that town that he lived in, and the memorial service announcement on that funeral home website. That's something you cannot create, so he did pass away, and he did film some incredibly strange things that happened. Ironically enough, that mountain that he filmed all that stuff happening on resembles the Archuleta Mesa where Dulce is, and I've done a couple videos about that area. But anyway, I had the opportunity to speak with him last night, and he and I talked to about almost 4 in the morning. And I was just, after the conversation, I sat there and I was blown away by the stuff he shared with me. Blown away by the stuff he shared that Andrew had talked about, but what he had seen as well. And I'm going to put that upload together a little bit later on. Probably put it out tomorrow morning. But an incredible amount of information. And I will always look and see Andrew's wife and child's mom's TikTok just to see how she's coping with it, everything, because losing a loved one and having what he went through is incredible. You don't, the one video where he's talking about he lied and all of it was made up, and he's looking over the corners where he's being filmed, that's fear. That is true fear. And that is not a hoax. That is just plain and simple fear. What's crazy is that nowadays the internet, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, I know, I just love saying it, TikTok, the more these creators have viewers, subscribers, the more subscribers they have and the more views they have, they must be telling the truth. They must be legit. We must believe them because they have 4 million subscribers. They have, oh my God, 130 million views. They are the truth teller. No, what they are is a captivating storyteller. And I cannot wait to share the information that this gentleman shared with me, because it really does solidify the videos that I made talking about where Andrew Dawson saw the crazy films that he filmed and the correlation with Dulce, the Archuleta Mesa. It is incredible. Anyway, this is a upload, some crazy interview from a researcher, and he's going to share some photos and some videos with us. But I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's upload because it had me stopping everything for almost an hour after. I didn't get to bed until like 7 this morning because of that conversation. And I had to immediately start researching a couple of things because I was just, I don't know if you've ever had that, where someone says something to you and it's so thought-provoking and so just whoa, that you have to look deep into, really did this and some other strange things. It's just, wow. Anyway, let's get into this upload. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow's upload to share with you guys because it is freaking insane. Let's jump into it. All right, everybody. Tonight I have a guest, subscriber guest, and photographer. The picture that I shared with you guys a couple days ago that I thought was DJ's is actually our guest's, Paul Chaffen. He goes out into the woods in Kentucky and he comes back with some pretty amazing footage, video footage and photography footage. Paul, how are you?
I'm good, brother.
I'm glad that me and you got to connect. I appreciate you coming on the show. I know you're a busy guy. The photo that I had on the show was actually a close-up of a picture that you had taken. Can you tell us a little bit about that picture and a little bit about how you caught that picture?
The area that I go into it's on the Kentucky River. It's way out at a rural boat ramp. The boat ramp's really old, and that's all it is, just a little concrete pad that goes down in there from a concrete, it's probably a 50, I'd say about 30 yards by 30 yards concrete pad for parking and stuff. And on each side of it is a river bottom, really large river bottom, and it looks like the rainforest. People go down there, it's like a redneck swimming hole, a party spot, on the weekends and stuff. And I just went down with the kids and my girlfriend one time, and I recorded some footage there. And didn't really think anything of it. And then later on at home, I had went through that footage, and I started seeing some things. I started seeing, like, I seen some orbs, some strange lights. So I ended up going back a couple of times, and the picture that you're talking about was actually took from the parking lot. So, I mean, the picture, how you showed it on your show where it's zoomed in, you can't tell much about it. But in the original picture, you can kind of see it in scale. It's really large, like it's, as big as the front of a house, whatever that is.
Right.
The rest of the picture is crystal clear, though, so I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. Speculation is about all I could do with that.
Right. What with speculation? What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It looks like there's maybe hands and legs or a foot and stuff kind of sticking out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a portal or.
I could make out like a hand.
I truthfully believe, which I know for a fact, that my phone or our phones are able to pick up things in the woods that our eyes can't see.
I agree.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I go through the footage most times frame by frame. I've gotten really good at it now to where I know where to look when I go out. But as you know, I've sent you the video. I've been growled at.
Yep.
I've been bluff charged. I've had things thrown at me. Like we've really been through it a few times out in the field, and come close to the kind of interaction that you don't want to have. But I mean, I expect as much. I keep sticking my nose out. So
now that footage of you being growled at, like I shared with you, I don't save anything people send me because of I don't want to be responsible for it getting out a lot of times, and the DJ thing was a misunderstanding on my end.
Right.
Now, would you be willing to allow me to share that on the channel?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Anything I have, you can. I'll send it to you. All I ask for is just the credit. Just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't, and nothing I do is a secret. I'll share it all.
Right. Now you have a Facebook group. I'll put the link in below. All you ask is that you answer the questions as honest as possible. And if you can't answer a couple of questions, there's really no sense of being in the group, which I agree.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you can't take 2 seconds to answer a couple of questions, then I just feel like they're not going to take 2 seconds to look at a picture,
right.
and everybody, I don't think everybody can see sometimes what's in the picture. Some of the pictures I post, not every one of them is crystal clear, of course, but some of them are really, really clear and really, really good. Like I figured out a long time ago I couldn't settle for the blurry pictures, so I ordered one of those binoculars that hooks to your phone.
Okay.
And I started recording with that, and I started getting crystal clear pictures that left no doubt. Like either it was there or it wasn't. So yeah, it's turned out really good, better than I could hope. And I've came so far in the last year. I don't like calling it research, but that just to fit in with the rest of the group, so they know what you're talking about. I say research. So,
right. Now, the pictures that you're talking about, like you said, you said you'd share the pictures with me. What I'll do with this video is I will put the pictures that you send, I'll put them as the background of this interview so people can see what we're talking about. The video where you're growled at, I'll put at the end of the interview so people can see that at the end of the whole thing. But that video is very interesting because when you first shared it with me, I said, wow, man, you know, that was loud and crazy. And I could, I thought you were taking off. You were running out of the woods, but no, you were not running out of the woods. Can you tell us what went on that day?
Well, we had just got there. Like it was only 30 seconds into the recording.
Okay. And
I got out there. It's all sand, and people can ride four-wheelers, but you can only ride just a little distance out. And then, like I told you, there's a creek that comes out to the river, so you can't go no farther. You can jump on foot maybe across.
Mm-hmm.
but you can't get your four-wheeler nut across, so it loops back. There's four-wheeler paths back in there. So I walked back in there, and I had somebody with me, and we stopped, and I hit record, and it's because I think we snuck up on them because where it was sand, it was so quiet, and we went in. There was nobody there that day. It was just us. And we snuck in, and like in 30 seconds of it, I seen something on camera, and I told the guy with me, I was like, come here, real quietly, and we wasn't being loud. We wasn't being, to be honest, I don't know why it growled at us. I don't know what we did.
Right.
Like, all I can think is we snuck up on him and caught him, we caught him lacking, but we, I had him come over, and he took about 3 steps toward me, and it growled from my right. And when it did, I had my camera on like a stick on top of it to keep it steady. And I lifted it up and kind of dropped it real quick. And I didn't drop it to the ground. I just dropped my hand down, like holding it, not straight down vertical, but horizontal. And I pulled my firearm, and I just stood there for a second because I have got the original video. But we walked backwards about 35 yards, and we stopped and stood there. And we had a lot of activity that day. Like I was telling you about it, it kept blowing at us. Like it sounded like a deer when you startle one and walk up on it.
Yeah.
But it was just a wild day down there. They were whooping and hooping and stuff. It was, and I've never seen a Bigfoot down there. I've never seen anything like that. So everything I've seen is canine.
Right. Now, that, like you said to me, and you just shared, it was like a deer when you startle a buck when you're hunting, how it'll snort. And it kept coming back at you. Was that the day that you had gotten bluff charged?
Well, it was going from left to right.
Okay.
Back and forth, like it was breaking branches and stuff. It was just out of sight. It was in an old blow down, like an old tree that blew down, like on the other side of it. It was just tromping back and forth.
Almost like an intimidation.
Yes.
Yeah. Huh. Kind of
the day I got bluff charged, I was by myself, and that was at a different location. That was at a preserve down here, about 10 miles from my house.
No kidding. We'll get into that. I just wanted to, so like when it was going from left to right, it was kind of like how a gorilla would do, like an imitation or an intimidation. Run back and forth, make as much noise, and sound very aggressive and loud.
Well, it didn't sound exactly like a deer. That's just the closest thing that I could compare it to.
Right.
But yeah, that's what it was doing, and I could tell definitely it was pissed off over something.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
I agree. I think like you probably had snuck up on it because there wasn't anybody there, and how you explained it to me, it was like you said, hillbilly, swimming hole and party spot, and so. Now, the bluff charge at the preserve, did you, was there a visual?
Well, no. I had a visual down there, but and the same person that was with me when I got growled at was with me that day too.
Okay.
And we found that track. I don't know, somebody had used the track and like claimed it was something else. They found it and stuff, but it's a very large track.
Okay.
Kirk Stokes was with me that day, and we went down in there and we found that track right on the edge of a trail, and it was way bigger than any domestic dog or coyote could have been. 100% couldn't have been anything else other than a dogman, because bears have 5 toes. Mountain lions, their tracks are different. So, and of course that day I always carry casting material with me, and I didn't have it. So me and Kurt left, and I come back, and he ended up staying at my family's house and was talking and stuff. And the guy that was with me when I got growled at went back with me to get the cast.
Okay. So
we got down there and got the cast, and on our way back out, something crossed a trail up ahead of us, really large, and it was on all 4, and it was like a fawn, deer colored, but it had a big tail that was curled up over its back, kind of like a husky's tail would.
Right.
So, it was very fast, whatever it was. I didn't get a great look at it, but it went across the trail, down, and circled around us to my right as we were coming out. And I never seen it again, but I had trail cameras down there in the area, and I went down. I don't like going out by myself, so I try not to do that.
Right.
So I went down just to check my trail cameras, and it changed the SD cards in them. So I went down and I did that, and instead of going back to the car, I was like, I was like, I'll walk around and kind of like in a circle pattern, just walk around, come back toward my car, because it would have come out on the trail.
Okay.
So I get probably 20, 30 yards from my trail camera, and I hear this dog bark to my left. Now, I'm carrying a tactical shotgun, and I've got some, I don't know what they are. They look like kind of like hydro shot, double alt buck, like definitely blow something's head off in 20 yards. But I had them shells in there, and I really wasn't worried about too much. But I heard that dog bark, and it was really loud. And I just stood there for a second thinking, is there somebody else down in here with their dog or something? Because I've never heard a dog down here before. And it barked again, and it was louder, like closer. And then it barked again, it was closer, and I realized this thing's coming right at me. So I panicked. I mean, the first thing to hit my mind wasn't a Dogman. I don't know. I guess it should have been what hit my mind, but it wasn't. Right. I thought it was somebody's domestic dog, and all I could picture was, what that double alt buckshot would have done to somebody's domestic dog. So there was a tree to my left. So I tried to hit that tree and climb, and it had big thorns like an inch long on it. And they wasn't on the tree; they were on a vine that was on the tree. And they tore me up, and I've still got scars to this day. They were stuck in my head. I mean, it was bad. So all this happened in about 60 seconds, and it felt like it was forever. But from the time I heard that first bark, to the time it ended, now it had done that. I was in a field like, have you ever seen that yellow grass? It looks like deer have bedded down in it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what it is. It's just the way it looks.
Right. That's
what I was in, and it had spotty trees here and there, and it was about 20 yards to the tree line. So whatever it was would have had to come out of that tree line, and then it would have had to come 20 yards to me. But it stopped right at that tree line and never made another sound. But I was standing there because I finally was like, made peace with whatever, and I spun around and I threw that gun up, and I was just waiting for it to come out of the trees, and it never did. So I was standing there, knees shaking like I was weak, you know what I'm saying? So I backed out of there kind of like a real tactical, like I was on my toes. I came out backwards. I came out the way I went in. I walked right back by my trail camera and stuff, and I got back to my car, and I was shaking up. I thought, man, I'm gonna see if somebody's here with their dog. Right. So I got back to the parking lot, and there wasn't nobody. Nobody was there with me, just my car.
Wow, that's incredible.
It was really intense, man. Like I can't describe how intense it was.
Yeah, you and I have had a pretty intense conversation before the interview, anyway. So for we've chatted about an hour, maybe two, and I've gotten to know you pretty well just in that short period of time. So to you to scale up a tree with thorns, it's got to be anybody.
Yeah, I didn't even make it, man. I never even got off the ground. The tree was only about 2 or 3 inches. I mean, it might have held me.
Yeah. Now the you've gotten a bunch of other pictures, a bunch of other shots.
I mean, I'm not trying to brag. I'm really not.
Right. No, that's
regardless to me who got the pictures. I'm just glad somebody's able to get clear, definitive pictures.
Yes.
So, but they're personally, I think they're the best pictures out.
Right.
I mean, the best pictures that's been got.
What are some of your most intense moments, or how do you, like, let's say on a shot, where someone might just be walking down a trail or something and not notice it? How do you notice it?
I'll record the footage kind of like Scott Carpenter does, how he
when he walks
over
through the
his
woods.
shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah, he records over his shoulder all the time, and I've noticed that when you go into a new area and record, you get really good footage. But if you go back, you don't get that great of footage. It's almost like they know what you're doing, because I've casted tracks in the Daniel Boone with Kirk Stokes in this area, and there were so many tracks there that you couldn't really tell what was going and coming, you know?
Right.
Very large canine tracks. And I casted a couple of them. The next time we went down there, nothing. Now, ever since that happened, there's not been another track there.
Huh. Yeah, I think I agree with you, because, I mean, times that I've went up to Tom Mezek's, and you watch the channel, and so you know, like, I've gone up there, and I think the first time that I went up there with my camera, I got some pretty weird stuff. Couple other times, it's like I look at the video and I'm like, I don't really see something. I've had the last time that I was up there was this past weekend. I had come off of the hill, and it was almost like something came out of the woods at me. And when I had turned my camera on, because I had my camera and mic off, but when I turned it on and pointed it towards that area, it stopped. Has that ever happened to you? Like where you hear the loudest crashing and you know something's there, and you turn your camera on or towards that area and it stops?
I've had similar experiences to that. Okay. Like most of the pictures that I have, you just have to know I started this out. I had an encounter when I was 15 years old, of course, in the Appalachian Mountains in eastern Kentucky.
Okay.
But, you know, I started this out with the starting point. I thought these things were flesh and blood. They breed, you know, they have young, they leave tracks, they eat, they shit. You know, I just 100% was on board with cloaking was not something that I thought was serious. I didn't think none of that stuff.
Right.
You know, I thought it was a joke. But just anybody that does any decent amount of recording or research out in the field is going to start seeing the same things that I'm talking about. You're going to start seeing the lights, the strange orbs. You're going to start, you know, you're just going to start seeing these green. Some of these Dogman I've got on camera are green. You know, like you just have to watch the footage frame by frame, because they'll be standing right there 30 yards from you, and they stand so still, and the self-awareness that they have to make sure they blend in with what's behind them is insane.
Almost like a chameleon.
Yes. I mean, they just know exactly where to stand, like right. According to the color of their fur, I guess.
Yeah.
And you just won't see them unless you're looking like really close through the video, and you'll see them. Sometimes they'll be standing right there staring at you, and you just didn't notice it.
That cloaking
You never had the feeling of being watched when you're out in the woods.
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely. When I was up there last weekend, I just put my camera down and I was talking about Tom Mezek, and I literally to my right, to my left, I felt like something was watching me, and when I came down that trail, that's where whatever came, that would have been to my left.
mm-hmm.
And it was, I couldn't see anything. I was scanning.
Well, you got to turn your camera on, put it up on your shoulder, film over your shoulder, and just turn your back to whatever area that you're hearing, or you're hearing stuff in, or you want to record in, and just carry on as normal talking.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Just act normal. Don't,
maybe bring two cameras, one to talk to.
And I don't get video and just watch it back and let it play. Right. I go frame by frame.
Okay.
Like if I'll go through it with my thumb, like on the cursor, like I'll go through the video, and if I see something, I'll go frame by frame and watch that. And every picture that I get, I'll go over that 4 or 5 times to make sure that it's not pareidolia, or, I'll make sure the camera changes angles. That way, if it is pareidolia, it'll break it up. So, I've just learned a lot over the last couple of years of doing this. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of technique to it. Over time, you just learn in the videos. You start seeing the areas that they like to get in and sit in. I've noticed they like to be like in front of big trees, like at the base of them. Huh. So yeah, you learn little tricks and stuff.
Now that cloaking, you and I talked about that. And you had said that you didn't really buy into the cloaking thing at first, but now you do.
Yeah.
Is there an experience that you had that changed your mind on the
Yes,
abilities to
I've got
cloak?
them on. I've got them on video.
Okay.
I've got, like I said, where I use that monocular on my phone.
Yeah.
It makes the pictures so crystal clear that you can see it. You can see the distortion that they cause.
Yes.
You know, like looking through it makes the grass look squiggly. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And if you weren't, like, I think the iPhone, if you're doing what I'm doing, it's almost impossible. I probably couldn't do what I'm doing without an iPhone.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't do it with a Galaxy or whatever. It has to be an iPhone, I believe. I don't like using a cam. I've got 4K camcorders here right now, but I like to be able to, on the spot, review footage if I have to. I don't want to have to go home and put it on the SD card or put it in the computer and do all that stuff.
Yeah. No, that's you really have kind of mastered the way of going through frame by frame. That's a lot of patience, you know. It's a lot of patience and a lot of time to do that.
Well, after you do it for a while, you start learning when you can just skip through. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can learn, you know, you can just tell if there's something in the area. And I don't think it has to be a certain area. I think any place where there's a tree line or trees or people gather or, you know, I think you'll get them on camera.
Yeah. Now, and you and I have spoken, and I'm going to say it because you know, like, people might think that this question is, but like when you said any tree line, anything, a person that you say that to, let's say just someone that really isn't familiar with Dogman or any kind of cryptid, and that's just getting into this, you know, might not see that they're in every tree line.
Well, and I have to explain to you that, like I told you earlier, I believe that there's flesh and blood.
Yeah.
And then I believe there's whatever else this is that I'm getting on camera. I believe there's flesh and blood, absolutely 100% flesh and blood dogmen out there that can't walk through portals and do all that crazy stuff.
Right.
But I also believe there's another side to it where there is those things where there's orbs surrounding them. And I've got one of the greatest videos of an orb that I've ever seen. Like, it is mind-blowing, which I'll send it to you too. Okay. The camera's real steady, and this is one of the few times that I've seen it in real time. I've got one's eyeball, like a dogman, crouched on the other side of the road coming into that boat ramp down there. I was on my way back out to the parking lot and stopped because there was a bunch of people and kids playing out there. And I filmed across the road over to tree line that was overlooking those people. And there was a dogman laying right there in the weeds, right off the road, right behind a log. You could see its eye perfect. And it just lays there still, just watching.
Just watching. Huh.
Yeah, it's a really good video.
Now, you were 15 when you had your first encounter in Appalachia. What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, November rolled around, and I was a really avid deer hunter. Like, if you just, you know, where I'm from, I was known, you know, for being able to kill big deer because everybody else was just lazy and wanted to ride their four-wheeler to their tree stand and ride their four-wheeler home. Me, I was poor. I didn't have no four-wheeler, and I didn't have no tree stand. So I just didn't care. I was like a mountain goat. And I read an article one time that said a deer is most happiest when you are at your most wretched. So, you know, I just always applied that. And it was November. It was rifle season. My dad was supposed to get up and go hunting with me, and we both just overslept. And I got up, you know, kind of late, around 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And I sat there and debated for probably an hour and a half on whether to even go. And finally, I talked myself into it. It was an old dreary day. It was gray, overcast, kind of cold. And I went and I got to the top of the mountain, and I took a different way that I never had been out. I had been out there before, but none that season. So I walked out through there. I don't know how far, probably a pretty good ways. And I got out there and sit down up against the old tree. It was probably around 2 o'clock. And I fell asleep. dozed off. And when I woke up, it was like 3:30 maybe. And I realized, in November around down in Kentucky, at this time it gets dark at like 5:30. So I was like, shit, it's going to get dark before I can get out. I had no flashlight with me or nothing. I was carrying a shotgun. I had slugs and slug mag, 3-inch slug mags in it. And I got up and I was kind of worried when I took off. That's what I was thinking. I was like, shit, I'm not going to make it. So I probably took 15, 20 steps, and fear hit me like, I don't even know, there's not even words for the fear that hit me. It was definitely primal. It was life and death fear. Right. If anybody's ever walked up on a rattlesnake or a copperhead and not seen it and then realize you're standing too close, like your knees get weak, that's kind of the feeling. But I stood there and looked. I had a hat on, I had it pulled down low, and I was kind of just, scanning the trees. And I was looking, right to left, left to right, and I knew something was there because the forest was dead silent. Which I should have noticed when I got up, but I didn't. I wasn't thinking about it. And it was just dead silent. There was no noise at all. Almost make you think you lost your hearing. But and then I caught something moving out of the corner of my eye to my right, because there's like an old logging road. I was coming down a ridge line, and it come down into a gap and then went back up the ridge. And like I was telling you, a predator will not, walk a ridge line so its silhouette's not seen. It'll take those low gaps like I was coming into. And I caught it out the corner of my eye coming around the old logging road. And that logging road went right around and right through that gap and then right around the ridge on the other side. And I guess it was walking that road. And it took probably 20 yards. I think from the time I seen it, it came into my sight, and to the time it went out was only about 70 yards. Probably, maybe not that far, but let's just say 70 yards. And 20 yards of that, it looked like a black blob. It was so black and like kind of shiny, like the cleanest fur ever. And then I started seeing details. I started to be able to see it. I seen its elbows. The first thing I noticed. I'll never forget that as long as I live. I seen its elbow. It had its hands up, kind of like if you were carrying a basketball in front of you. And it had a chest. I could see its chest from the side profile. It never did look at me and make eye contact. Its ears were pointy, but not pointing straight up. They were kind of angled back. It had haunches. It had a tail. Its tail come down and it kind of curved up. It almost touched the ground. It had big, strong-looking legs. It wasn't no Arnold Schwarzenegger-looking Dogman, but it was it looked like a werewolf. That's what I thought. Because you got to think this is 1997. There was no internet. And at the time I was looking at it, I really didn't think anything. Time stopped and stood still. And I watched it. I don't know if it dropped down on all fours when it went over the mountain. I'm assuming it did. That's what it looked like. But it went out of sight. It never looked at me. Thankfully, I'm so glad that it never looked at me, because I probably would have fucking stroked out. But yeah, it just went right over the bank, man, and it was gone. I probably stood there for 20 seconds just in shock, thinking there's no way I just seen what I seen. And then I double timed it out there down that hill. I fell and tripped. And, I run down that hill grabbing trees and swinging and stuff. And I told my dad about it when I got home, and they just laughed. Like, so, I talked to a couple of friends. They thought I was crazy. So it kind of just put a bad taste in my mouth for talking about it,
Right.
But that experience lives in my head rent free for sure. It's been there in the back of my mind when my kids were born. It's been there when just everything in my life. There's not a day goes by that it's not there.
And it's funny because like you and I had talked, this encounter, you were 15. You said what, like 97? Mine was 94. Yeah. Pre-internet. We both were, both had our encounters pre-internet. So we were, like, what the heck? And
I honestly thought it was a werewolf.
Yeah.
I really did think one of my neighbors was a werewolf or something. I didn't know really what to think.
Right. Now, throughout all of your excursions, photographing, recording, doing what you do, have you had any other up close experiences or experiences where you've seen these not just through the camera but visually with your own two eyes? Have you seen any kind of
Now when I went down the day before I got growled at, or we got growled at, I went down by myself into that same exact area. This was the first day that I had used that attachment for my phone. I just went down and wanted to try it out. So I went down by myself, which again, I don't like to do, but it's kind of hard to get people, because I don't hang out with a lot of people, especially and talk about this subject. So I went down and I was down there for about 4 hours probably, and I walked all over that place, man, and I got some really good pictures. Like, probably the best pictures that I got that day, and I was showing them to somebody, and they were like, oh, I'll go back with you. But the first day when I got down there by myself, I didn't set everything up, and I walked out there with my backpack on and stuff, and I got out to that little point where that creek comes out, and I set my backpack down, and I was getting everything out, and I just so happened to look up to the other side down the riverbank, and there was one walking right toward me. It looked like a mountain lion, but it had big pointy ears sticking up on top of its head, probably about 6-7 inches tall. It was on all fours. It was a little bit darker probably than a mountain lion, but its face, it had that black. You know how a mountain lion has that black that runs underneath its eyes and around its nose?
Yeah.
Well, it had that, and it just kept walking right toward me, looking at me, and then it made a left and went up the bank and into the tree line. And I was just sitting there with my mouth open, like with my hands in my bag, getting my stuff out. That's why I told you the next day I got all my stuff out of the car and got ready.
Wow. That's an experience.
But, I've not had very many in real-time encounters, seeing them. Now, I've had stuff thrown at me, and I've had them whoop, and I've heard branches thrown and broken, and they do little things here and there. You might go down there 3 times and not hear nothing, and then you might go there that last time and get growled at and stuff thrown at you. You just never know.
Yeah. I'm curious, same spot. Did you ever think that maybe that one that was walking at you was the same one that was kind of messing with you, that growled at you that second time?
I'll be honest with you, the growl that came out of whatever that was a lot bigger than that thing could have ever done.
Yeah, that's a pretty impressive growl. I remember the day that you sent it.
Yeah,
to
no,
me.
whatever
wow.
that growl came out of was had a big set of lungs.
Yeah. Now, that growl, is that the same location where you got that picture that you don't know what it is, where it could be a portal? Is that the same location?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that could, like you said, it could be a portal, and they could be dropping things out. Because I've said
like the Daniel Boone National Forest, I believe is covered, and I mean eat up with the flesh and blood dogmen. Like, they're there everywhere. Yeah. And I've got a picture of one that I went back and stood in its place. There was 2 of them standing there right in front of me, and I didn't see them. They were covered just enough. And you got to think, the color of their fur is black. Not black like we know black, but black.
Right.
And if they stood in front of a cave, you wouldn't see them. That's how black. But they were standing right in front of me, and I didn't see them. But that's the same spot that I got these track casts right here that I've got on my shelf here. But there's a lot of flesh and blood things down there in the Daniel Boone. I haven't had much of that paranormal activity stuff out of it.
That picture that you just mentioned, can you send that to me? And when you do, can you please let me know that that's the picture that you had talked about? Because what I'm doing is I'm kind of, each time we're talking about a certain picture, I'm writing down.
Well, now the picture that I'm talking about right now, this was before I had that attachment for my phone.
Okay.
But what I'll do is I'll send you a picture, and I'll outline it so you know what you're looking at.
Okay.
And then I'll send you like the original so you can look at it and
Right.
you know what you're looking at, because, I mean, some of them are hard to see, man. The camouflage that they use and the techniques they use to blend in is just off the charts. There's nothing compares to
Yeah,
Bigfoot, I guess.
I've heard there was a woman that reached out to me, and she was she's a deputy, or was a sheriff's deputy out in North Carolina, and got hurt, and now she's got a different job, but in law enforcement. But she was the lady that told me that they dwell in like the sides of the road, in the kudzu and stuff like that. And she drives down the road with like a video camera, and she'll take and kind of does what you do, goes frame by frame, and she can spot, like she'll go frame by frame and spot a Dogman, or she spotted something else that she had no idea what it was. It's pretty interesting how they do hide and the camouflage they do use.
Well, there's a woman that lives here close to me, which she's known in a few of the groups, and she's the only person that I've ever interacted with or talked to who does the same thing I do, with frame by frame and just the way you record.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's hard to explain because these, I think they're very smart. And that growl, when it growled at me, it didn't really scare me as much as it shocked me, because to me and what I do, it may as well stood up and waved at me. Like, it let me know that it knew. You know what I'm saying? Like I know what you're here for. Right. So now every time I go down there, I know they know why I'm there.
This is kind of funny because you and I we're talking about the camouflage now. I had spoken about a Russian scientist, who on her own expeditions was going out and kind of researching camouflage for Bigfoot and other cryptids. And the Russian army found out what she was doing, wanted to search for the to kind of break the code for the camouflage so troops could use it. And it's kind of funny that when you were talking about the way that the Dogman, and we've all heard how people have seen these blacker than black Dogman, blacker than the blackest night. It almost makes me wonder if our military or our government figured out a way of kind of formulating that. Yeah, because like if you look at Vanta Black is blacker than black.
There's a documentary by Mark Zaxby, Mark Zaxby. He lives down in Florida.
Okay.
I can't remember. Bigfoot something. I'm pretty sure it was on Amazon, or if you look up Mark Zaxby, you'll be able to find it. But he made a documentary where they examined hair from Bigfoot under a microscope,
mm-hmm.
and they hit it with an outside light source and stuff like that. And when they would take light away, it turned green.
Wow.
Like, I mean, it was doing it, like the hair was almost like small mirrors, I guess, or they were able to, like, if they were in a low light source standing in a tree, they would appear green. So, yeah, I mean, it's just like the things they're able to do, or the things they're equipped with as far as their environment. It's just insane, man. There's no way you could compete with that.
No. And that's really honestly what puts them at the top of the food chain in my eyes. I mean,
the real question is, what keeps them from attacking us and killing us while we're out there?
Yeah, that is the real question.
Is there an unspoken rule or something? Or the way I was told is, somebody mentioned it to me one time and I thought about it, but what if, different people that go down there, you never know what kind of energy you've got following you, or a demon, or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So we all know that demons are disembodied and they're looking for something to possess.
Yes.
So you go down into these areas and one of these demons is following you, crosses paths with one of these dogmen, you know what I'm saying? So that could turn ugly real fast. So, I don't even know if that's a thing. It's just something to think about. It crossed my mind,
had a conversation very similar with a gentleman, and we were talking about that. And he had kind of said, like, it'd be easy for a demon if a demon was following us or we were, possessed or not possessed or whatever. It would be easier for a demon to possess a Dogman or a Sasquatch because of the he's really into the theory of the Nephilim without the soul. So he thinks it'd be easier to possess one of these creatures than a human.
Well, and what makes me say that is my friend Kirk Stokes' video that thing has illuminated green eyes in broad daylight. The eyes almost look digital, like like when you turn a digital television or whatever off, how the screen just comes, the top comes to the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that thing's not from around here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely not from around here. Whatever that was. It didn't look like it had a mother or a father. It just looked like it was straight evil. Like it was around to do one thing. Yeah,
most definitely. I think I agree with that, and then I really agree with the whole concept of flesh and blood and others. It's really it's an acceptance of theory and looking at the facts and looking at what other people have experienced and kind of really being open. I think
a lot of researchers will ignore what I'm talking about. They'll see it in the video or in their footage and they'll ignore it because they want it to be flesh and blood and they don't want to get mixed up in the rest of it.
Yeah.
Myself, I won't ignore it. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm trying to find answers to, and I'm gonna go wherever the research takes me. And if it makes people laugh or whatever, then I understand. I used to laugh too. So
yeah, it's hard when you have to be accepting of different things, and it's like you said, you and I have talked, and there are people out there that are unaccepting of these theories and just like you said, right in front of you, and they don't want to accept it. And I think more or less it's because it doesn't fit into their category or it's too complex, and it just, instead of giving them answers, it just gives them more questions.
Well, and that's how that's what I came to with the whole Bigfoot and the government and all that stuff. Just I say Bigfoot because Bigfoot's so mainstream.
Right.
I think they don't hide Bigfoot from us and keep it a secret because they're worried about revenue at the parks or any of that stuff. I think they hide it because they know what the next question is once they reveal it. Where did they come from?
Yeah.
What
are they? Where are they? Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the next question people have, and that's what I don't think they want people to know.
Yeah, exactly.
And I could be wrong. That's just my opinion.
Well, I agree with you there because, I don't think we'll ever have a definitive answer. I think what we'll get is people like you, people like me, people like that are listening to this that are willing to, be open-minded to everything, any kind of theory, any kind of fact, and really just accept it. And
that growl video, for example, the pictures and stuff that I post in my group, I've told people I'm not going to share it elsewhere because I don't have time to argue with people and stuff. So, but anybody else is welcome to share it wherever they want.
Right.
You tell me why none of that stuff has ever went viral. Probably 90% of the people listening to your show right now have never heard it or seen any of the pictures. So, I mean, it's just odd to me how you can talk to somebody who's never heard of Dogman and stuff and show them these pictures of canines standing up, and they just go on about their life like they never, like, how come that's not a big deal to people? That's what shocks me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's literally, it literally changes reality from what we've been told, about the place we live in.
Yeah, 'cause it's a thing of acceptance. Like you have to completely scrub your whole reality of what you believed in and what you were told is just out of the picture, and that's too much for some people. I know that when I had my experience, it changed. I mean, I was a believer of things, researching, and I was brought up in the early 80s where there was TV shows about Bigfoot every day, or every Saturday or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
and when I saw what I saw, it really did. I mean, I believed in Bigfoot before that. I believed in UFOs before everything, and that one experience really changed the way I looked at everything at that point. It was just like it was almost like I was more willing to accept things.
And I feel like people like Matt Moneymaker and them made the whole subject a joke.
Yeah.
I don't think they helped any at all. For Matt Moneymaker to stand up and say Dogman doesn't exist.
Yep.
Like what? Well, I don't know why you'd say that for, man. That's it makes me mad, but it is what it is.
Well, I know
his opinion, I guess. But
I know he did a lot of filming up here in Fort Anne, New York, and I know that the town of Fort Anne, the residents up there, I know quite a few of them, weren't really impressed and really didn't want him back there. So.
Well, I can tell you this: if I had the equipment and technology and stuff that they had to do that show with, I could just go ahead and put an end to all of this debate.
Yes. Now, speaking of that, you were going to do a documentary on Dogman. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, Kurt, that's one of the reasons Kurt just don't really,
really
he's not active in the community at all.
Kirk Stokes is your friend. I've talked to him. Well, not physically spoken to him. I've emailed him. Do you want to tell us who he is? Or he's a researcher, obviously.
Kurt got a video back in, I think, 2011, around that time. And he's got a few videos, but now he got one that was just, in my opinion, mind-blowing. It was one of the first videos I had seen, and which to me was kind of shocking and exciting because I realized that other people had seen these things too. And this was back in like 2014 and 15 when I ran across that video, and I wasn't looking for it. I didn't even know to go on YouTube and look up what I had seen. It didn't cross my mind. And I didn't even pay attention to Bigfoot stuff unless I seen it, around on YouTube or something. I'd watch a video, but I didn't search it out or anything. So, or whatever. And I watched it. And you know how as you're watching a video, it'll show similar videos underneath?
Yeah.
That's what it did. And I noticed that. And it said, what did it say? I don't know how he worded it. Werewolf or something, maybe. Or no, it said Bigfoot. I think Kurt labeled it Bigfoot because that's the only way people would ever see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody knew to search Dogman at that time. So he labeled it Bigfoot. Bigfoot Watches Me was the name of the video. And I watched that video, and then I reached out to Kurt, and I just ended up talking to him for a few years. And I think he moved to Alaska, and I moved to Florida. And once I got back and we settled in around here, me and him just decided to go down to the Daniel Boone one time, and we got out and went, and we've been friends ever since. But yeah, the documentary, every time we try, he had tried 2 or 3 times in the past, and it always falls apart and gets shut down somehow. Mm-hmm. He gets screwed over, and people back out, pull out, which is the same thing that happened with us. Like it's just almost impossible to do it. You can't do it by yourself because I can go out and get the footage and do the legwork. I'm just not computers. I don't know how to, and I don't have any desire to learn with these computers and stuff. I'm just, I guess, I'm old school.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And Kurt is he is dedicated to cryptids. He really is really done a lot of work. But
Kurt got into it like I was. He got into it like I was saying. Like in the beginning, nobody had ever heard of Dogman, so
right.
he was catching a lot of flack and shit, from
a lot of
from
abuse.
The Bigfoot community.
Yeah, and that really pushed him away from the whole subject and top. And unfortunately, by that happening, I think we lost a good asset to the community.
Well, I think me and Kurt have something in common. Like I think I'm ahead of my time. Like I think he was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the things that I'm talking about now, I think in a few years will be mainstream and being talked about.
Yeah, I agree. The whole cloaking. I mean, I did a video about cloaking about a year and a half ago. People were like, they don't cloak. Well, now everybody talks about how they cloak.
Well, I'm gonna send you some pictures, and they're gonna blow your mind. I haven't sent them to you yet. You haven't seen these.
Okay, all right. I'm looking forward to it. Now we're coming up on about that time for my recording ability. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the audience listening?
I mean, I have a Facebook group. It's the Kentucky Dogman Project. I welcome people to come over. I created the group because I really do believe you can't mix Bigfoot researchers with Dogman researchers and paranormal and aliens and all that stuff. So I keep it strictly Dogman. I don't put up with the laughing emojis and all that stuff on other people's pictures. So you just don't know the reason. You don't know the reasons people are doing what they're doing, the pictures that they're getting and stuff. And at the end of the day, maybe you can't see nothing in that picture, but the next picture they get, it might be the picture that someone like me really wants to see, and they may quit and not do it anymore because somebody laughed at them so I just don't put up with that stuff in the group. But I welcome anybody. We keep it peaceful. It's a really good group of people. So
and just answer the questions and
the questions at the beginning. I put them in there just for that reason, because if people don't have the patience to answer a couple of questions, then I just don't think they're going to look at pictures either.
Exactly. And unfortunately, and I give you a lot of respect for having the view that you have, where don't make a mockery of someone's work or someone's picture. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know what they've gone through to get that picture. And unfortunately, people do leave and don't want anything to do with the community anymore afterwards. And that's really disheartening, because you don't know, that person may be the person that gets that great pic of what might break the whole case open, and it's sad.
Well, it was just a personal decision for me. The pictures that I was getting, I wasn't satisfied with them, so I had to start looking for, a better way to get pictures.
Yeah.
And clearer pictures, like I couldn't settle for blurry pictures.
You've done a great job. I mean, with that one picture that, when you reached out, you said, "That's my pic, bro," and you showed me the original. And when I look at
they zoomed in on it. Whoever zoomed in on it and cut the arrow out of it.
Yeah, and when I looked at the pic that's not blown up, that's the original pic, I was like, "Whoa, what is that?" And then I looked at the
whole
original
picture's clear, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. The whole, and then that one spot is just distorted, very strange. And like you said, that one spot is about as big as the front of a house. And
it's a big one.
Yeah, that's
whatever it is.
Exactly. And that's cool that, most people in your spot or in your place would be like, that's definitely But you're like, whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but it's something.
Yeah.
And I commend you for that.
You know, and like, that's what I tell people. I don't put at the top of my pictures, this is a Dogman. That leaves room for people to argue with me. I just post the picture. Some people might see whatever in it, you know. So if I see something strange in a picture, I will share it, you know, and I'll point it out the best I can. But I'll be honest, I'm way beyond pictures. I just share the pictures in the group because I know the people who follow me like them. So
right. Well, I'm going to link your Facebook page in the description below as well. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your evening. Do me a favor, don't hang up after we end the interview because I want to talk to you for a little bit after if you got time.
Yeah.
It was great having you on. Thank you for sharing the information that you've gotten in your last 20-something years.
If anybody's in my area in Central Kentucky and wants to research, reach out to me. If anybody wants any information and I can help them, reach out to me, and I'll do whatever I can for anybody.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. I appreciate it. And me and you have talked most of the night, and I think you and I are going to be talking a lot. So thank you, and it's great having you on.
Yep, thank you, Bo.
All right, bye. So Paul Chaffen, great interview, great photos, great videos, a really inspirational kind of researcher that, he's out there, he's doing it. And he was inspired by a gentleman that we talked about a little bit in the upload, Kirk Stokes. And if you know who he is, you probably heard the interview that I did with him. He was a gentleman that was, right at the beginning of this kind of emergence of cryptozoology, the YouTube, whatever, the Scott Carpenter era. Kirk Stokes was out there and has some really captivating experiences and photos and videos. Actually, one of the best videos that I've ever seen is from Kirk. Everyone talks about how great Scott Carpenter's video is. And this is not a diss to Scott Carpenter at all, because it is a true loss in the community. But Kirk Stokes' video is right up there with that one video that Scott is famous for. I myself think and have, even before I even met Kirk, I was like, this video is right up there with Scott Carpenter's. I think it's a little better. I think because you can see movement, you can see eye movement. You really have a amazing video of a Dogman. And once again, not a diss at all, because I had the utmost respect for Scott Carpenter. But it's just my opinion. I think both videos are great. I think Kirk's is just a little more captivating for me. And because Paul was inspired and friends with Kirk, actually Paul was the one that put me in contact with Kirk. Because of that, in honor of both of those men right there, I'm going to share the video that you're going to see right now is actually Kirk Stokes' video. And it is truly amazing. There's the video, and it is up to you, your opinion. I have my own, and I am partial to Kirk. I know Kirk, and I'm friends with Kirk. I know his story, and his story is tragic. Just like many of us in this community, you know, it's not a it's not a pleasant thing. You know, you've got a lot of people out there that want to silence you, and Kirk was silenced for a long time. Um, with that, I'd like to thank you for supporting this channel. It is your support that helps this channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. That is because of all of you, so thank you. Stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and our friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions. Never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.